Considering the fact that Star Wars projects that were greenlit keep vanishing faster than celebrities who frequented Diddy's parties.
Damn!
You'd be forgiven if you hadn't heard about this most recent one. Hell, when I first heard about it, I couldn't believe that they finally pulled the trigger on something so obscure. I mean, we've had massive vanity projects like Ahsoka, repurposed slop like Obi-Wan, and the absolute dumpster fire that was The Acolyte. But this might be the strangest use of the IP yet. Seriously, who expected a show centered solely around the charred corpses of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru after A New Hope? I sure as shit didn't. So let's take a look. What now? Hello? What do you mean it's not about Owen and Beru? It's called Skeleton Crew. Those are the only two skeletons I can recall. Goonies in space? They are aware that the Star Wars fandom is at an all-time low, and this is likely not gonna bring them back, right? Well, I guess if they love burning money, more power to them, whatever. It's been brought to my attention that this show is not, in fact, about Luke's extra crispy custodians. And after hearing about the premise, I truly have no clue what to expect. But I'm not gonna let that stop me from making fun of anything that I can pick apart. So let's see how this goes, I guess. The show opens up on a new style opening exposition dump as it's explained to us that in the wake of the Empire's demise, order has been maintained by the New Republic. That kinda was assumed considering they're the replacement government. Why do you feel the need to say this exactly?
For the kids.
Despite their control, remote hyperspace routes have been hit with a torrent of piracy. And anyone unfortunate enough to cross paths with these pirates must cease and desist. Surrender or die. It's good to see that old habits die hard, considering this kind of shit is the reason the Empire rose in the first fucking place. At least it's refreshing that they might be going a different route with things and not immediately relying on callbacks to the... Or they could just have an opening exactly like A New Hope. Let me guess. Next we'll see people readying themselves for a shootout. Why the fuck did that laser just make a chambering noise? 2 minutes in, and we already have word assemblers that don't understand the technology of the Star Wars universe. Let's see if I can correctly predict what's next. First, they will be boarded forcibly through one of their doorways. Correct! They will initially hold off the invaders, but then be overwhelmed. Correct! A commanding officer will show up wearing a mask, hold up a crew member by the throat, and question him.
We have no credit shipment.
We intercepted no transmissions.
If this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador?
If this is a bulk freighter, why is your vault magnetically sealed?
Then, of course, put that crew member to death just in case we were too retarded to figure out he's evil. By the way, this dude has an inexplicable amount of testicular fortitude to say this shit.
I hereby demand all pirate scum leave this vessel immediately.
This is clearly written by Gen Zers, because only they would be dumb enough to threaten a group of armed and dangerous murderers.
Get my brown pants!
After disposing of Captain Room Temperature IQ over here, they break into the freighter's vault to discover some rather disappointing news.
Good men's lives lost for a single measly credit.
Hold on a second, I have to take care of something. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You like it behind the ears, don't you? It's almost like this dude was telling the truth.
This is a bulk freighter.
Seems a bit sus to me, though. A giant sealed vault on a bulk freighter with no cargo. Also, someone had the forethought to taunt them with a single fucking penny? That's the kind of shit you do when you're upset with the waitstaff. To say the pirates are less than thrilled would be an understatement.
Mutiny, then.
Treason, then.
Now that the obligatory callbacks are done, perhaps we can get to something original?
You'll spend eternity in my dungeons being tortured until you die!
Okay, well, that's actually new. I'm not even sure if I can come up with a joke for this. I'm just shocked that Lucasfilm sells more toys in universe than in real life. But why is there Jedi merch? Seems very consistent considering Rey thought Luke was a myth, but then again, that's a whole, 20 years from now? But I guess a little consistency in Disney Star Wars is just too big of an ask. This is Wim, a young resident of whatever the fuck planet this is. A typical kid who really doesn't like school and dreams of adventure and excitement. Or what the American educational system would deem as a child with a learning disability that needs to be pumped full of drugs. He lives here with his father, a workaholic who has absolutely no time for him.
I have a supervisor's review, so I'm not going to be around much.
As Wim leaves for school, he meets with his best friend, this Dumbo-ass little shit named Neil, who is also likely to be prescribed Ritalin in the near future.
What are you guys even doing?
No fucking idea.
They're on their way to school when Wim notices two girls whip by on a speeder bike. They zip down a dead end and disappear. Let's just rewind for a second. What the fuck is this shit? This is clearly an articulated bus. How is this futuristic? Forget a galaxy far, far away. I saw one of these in Manhattan last week, and a hobo was pissing on it. By the way, that hobo was me. Consider becoming a member. They arrive at school and Wim notices the two girls named Fern and KB somehow got there before them. I'm not even really sure how to explain the relationship between these two since they are middle school kids. It would be a bit awkward to call them lesbians, but there is definitely a Peppermint Patty and Marcy dynamic at play here.
When you're mad, you look just like Billie Jean King.
The Peanuts analogy works even better when we are shown that the classes are taught by extremely boring robots who are barely even comprehensible.
Error-prone ledger entries with free-floating variable tables.
I can understand why this kid fucking hates school. I only listened to this goddamn trash can speak for 10 seconds, and I want to toss myself out of a third-story window. The class is stopped for a special guest.
My name is Undersecretary Farah. Today I've taken time out of my very busy schedule.
Shut up and get to the point!
To come talk about something near and dear to my heart. Career assessment tests will set the course of your entire future. Once you're assigned a career path, you'll become part of our planet Aten's contribution to the great work.
You gotta love when preteens are locked into a career path via fatalist dystopian standardized test run by a clearly shady governmental entity. Students in the class take turns explaining what they hope the outcome of the assessment has in store for their future.
I want to be a senior statistical accountant.
Ah, yes.
I want to really help people, you know, like if there's danger or something.
That's not a career. That's what safety droids are for.
Apparently, philanthropy and benevolence are not acceptable answers in this society. It is here that Wim is informed that the assessment is tomorrow, and he hasn't studied at all.
Did you seriously not know assessment was tomorrow?
No.
Why do you think everyone's all studying all the time?
I wasn't exactly put on a pedestal of ideal students back when I was a kid, but at least I knew when the state exams were coming up. We cut to Peppermint Patty and Marcy, who are once again riding tandem on a speeder bike in a heavily trafficked area. They are easily outpacing the larger vehicles before the bike breaks down and they somehow don't immediately die in a horrible fiery inferno. Which is a shame because if there's something Star Wars has lacked over the years, it's smug, annoying children getting what's coming to them.
I'll kill you.
Because we've somehow gone approximately 3 minutes without a blatant reference to A New Hope, it turns out the busted piece of the speeder bike is, you guessed it, a power converter.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
As they discuss how to fix the bike, they are accosted by a random 20-something-year-old guy.
That's the problem with baby toys. They break so easy. Be there this weekend, if your mommy lets you.
Seriously, there's absolutely no way this guy is supposed to be 12 or 13 like the rest of the cast. Leave these kids alone, you creep. With the drag race subplot seemingly on ice for now, Peppermint Patty heads home.
Your mother is home from work early.
Hide all this, and if she asks, I was upstairs studying.
But you weren't upstairs studying.
On memory override. Yes, I was.
I love when a new mechanic is introduced to an existing IP which completely breaks previously established lore. Up until this point in Star Wars, wiping a droid's memory was an ordeal requiring outside influence of computers. But now a simple voice command does it, no problem. These unvetted changes to the way things work is such a massive issue for Disney, it might as well be a trope of its own now. Also, for convenience sake, the word assemblers made sure that Peppermint Patty's mom just happens to be the undersecretary.
You got your spot back. Head of the class.
But this is actually on brand. Only a spoiled rich kid with a silver spoon crammed up her ass could possibly be as pompous as they are about to show. Wim is studying hard trying to make up for an entire semester's worth of daydreaming. He asks his negligent dad to tell him a bedtime story, but is denied the request, likely because HR hasn't approved it.
Aren't you getting a little bit old for that?
How much do you want to bet if his manager told him to do this, he would have no questions asked? Also, is this motherfucker on lithium? Because he's delivering every single line like he's dead to the world.
Hey, look at that. Studying for change. You'll get it eventually. Sorry, buddy. I gotta work.
Since his father can't be fucked to give his son more than 30 seconds a day, Wim decides to read his own Jedi stories. This causes him to oversleep and miss the hyper-futuristic bus. But that's fine, he simply grabs a speeder bike from his garage. Okay, he should be good. Those things were shown in an earlier scene to be able to go even faster than the buses, so he just needs to follow it and...
I'm gonna take a shortcut!
Why are you doing this? You don't need to beat the bus there. This isn't a race. Just follow it and you'll arrive on time. He attempts to take Peppermint Patty's shortcut he saw the day prior, despite the fact he only saw the initial entry point and has no fucking clue where to go after that. Predictably, he gets lost and misses his assessment. On the upside, he somehow does not cave in his skull when he loses his helmet and randomly rides into a massive ditch filled with jagged rocks. Calling for help, he gets no response, and tries to climb this not particularly steep hill, but can't as the ground he's pulling gives way, unearthing something in the process. Shortly after this, he's found by a security bot and brought back to the school for punishment. Why would there be a random security bot out in this desolate section of woods, miles away from civilization?
Fuck if I know.
Well, illogic aside, he awaits punishment for skipping school and missing his assessment. As he waits, he's joined by Peppermint Patty, who tells him a lie about what happens to people who miss the test.
The last kid who skipped assessment, the proctor took him down to a secret chamber under the school to make him work in the mines. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there's a pool on the fucking roof. Negligence emerges from the principal's office furious, presumably because this is taking time out of pretending his son doesn't exist.
Because you skipped your test?
No, I didn't.
What is absolutely unacceptable, young man?
Dad.
We have in our house.
Can I talk?
I convinced the proctor to let you retake the test, but now there's a 50-point penalty.
I don't even know what that means.
Which means you have to get every answer right just to pass.
Discounting the impossible task of not missing a single question, this makes absolutely no sense. Career assessments are designed to help placement of skills, and that is not how aptitude tests work. They are evaluations of strengths and weaknesses. There aren't traditional right and wrong answers, and certainly no scores. Wim pleads with his father and attempts to tell him about his discovery.
I found something buried in the woods. I think it's a lost Jedi temple like this.
And of course, because she's clearly a nosy little bitch, Peppermint Patty overhears him. Later that day, Wim does the exact opposite of what he's told to do and goes to gather Dumbo, who is indisposed. Oh! Disney, I think this technically counts as creepy pedo behavior on your part, but seeing as how it's a CGI elephant, I'll let it slide for now.
No, really, you're a pervert.
When they arrive at the whereabouts of the temple, Wim notices that somebody has already been there.
Trespassers, you are in violation of protocol.
Sorry, Fern made me sick.
Who else could it be besides Peppermint Patty and Marcy, who somehow not only located the remote spot, but also beat the other two there despite Wim never once telling her where to look? Though honestly, considering it's only under 2 inches of brush, I'm shocked none of those random forest truancy bots came across it first. They have another standard stupid kid argument.
And this is our find.
This is mine. I already claimed it.
And Peppermint Patty once again makes up a dumbass story.
It's not a Jedi temple. This was supposed to be a new neighborhood development. The whole thing filled up with poison gas. They started to eat each other. They had to bury them alive, trapped underground.
Look, I'm having enough trouble without your fantastic stories.
Meanwhile, at Wim's house, Negligence has apparently been granted permission to leave work and discovers that Wim is not there. This causes him to panic, I think. I mean, this dude's range is pretty terrible.
Wim?
Marcy gets the door open by plugging into it despite not knowing any codes or anything. Remember when droids that were specifically designed for this kind of shit took a few minutes to have any degree of progress with these things?
No.
Hell, R2 often took his sweet-ass time, but I guess because she's Asian, she needs to be good with computers.
God damn, that was racist.
Negligence finds Wim's helmet out in the woods because everyone knows exactly which way to walk. Honestly, I'm just more shocked that he can even identify an item that his son owns. Maybe his company manufactured it or something. That's the only way it makes sense. The kids enter the temple and find a dead droid. And accidentally lock themselves inside. Because as we've established, they're dumb.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Seeing as how they can't backtrack, they are forced to go deeper into the temple to find a way out.
All we gotta do is find the power before we run out of air.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Oh, no, you don't!
But the 4 of you combined do not have the lung capacity to deplete this huge structure of air. More than likely, you'll die of thirst or starvation way sooner, just saying. Since Wim and Peppermint Patty can't seem to agree on anything, he decides to just up and leave and try to find out whatever he can on his own.
And I have it all to myself.
Yeah, this is gonna go well.
You'll be the first to die, but I like your enthusiasm.
You might die.
The girls and Dumbo find the engine room and restart the power with the tried and true method of percussive maintenance. While somewhere else in the structure, Wim makes a discovery.
I was wrong. is in the temple. It's even better.
Which turns out to be a ship that Dimwit, in an act of sheer stupidity, activates.
Don't touch anything.
Do I have to follow you all day?
As the ship soars into the sky, Negligence arrives just in time to show off his trademark apathy. Seriously, did this guy go to the Kristen Stewart acting school? Okay, now give me less emotion, no feeling whatsoever.
I told you, don't touch my work stuff.
Come on, show me less.
Bedtime stories.
Less.
Whim!
Even less. Whim! And cut. Also, how the fuck did no one discover this huge-ass ship just chilling out here in the woods? It wasn't well hidden and it's made of metal. You'd think someone would have noticed something. Also, how the fuck did it work with no issue? It clearly crash-landed based on the way everything was inside. And it not only operates perfectly, but finds a hyperspace lane by itself instantly with no calculations required.
Without precise calculations, we'd fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova.
Blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
Let's cut to the chase. None of you are paying for Disney Plus, and quite frankly, I don't blame you.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
But in these hard economic times, there's one surefire way to gain access to all that dog shit media that you couldn't be fucked to pay for. Online piracy.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
However, if you're anything like the millions of others who just want to flip the bird to these rich fucks by downloading shit for free, you've probably encountered one of these pieces of oligarchical nonsense which has you fearing legal backlash. Well, not anymore. Introducing the online virtual relocation and data encryption resource. That's right, over there.
Really?
Yeah.
The first and only VPN which allows you to pick the exact location to ping your IP address from. Whether it be someone in Bangladesh, Peru, or that annoying shithead who keeps taking your parking spot. I'm looking at you, Steve. That copyright infringement is someone else's problem now. So get over there and stick it to both Hollywood and that asshole next door today. Episode 2 opens up with our assorted adolescents in hyperspace just as they come to an abrupt halt. Never mind the fact that a sudden stop like this would throw them all forward to their deaths. Since up to this point they've argued about literally everything, I will give you one guess as to what happens next.
Go home right now. Okay, easy. If you press another button, I swear What is that?
Remember that dead droid from earlier? You know, the one whose face seems to be home to a colony of rodents? Turns out he's not dead at all.
Captain! Captain!
Do everything around here.
I think he might be malfunctioning. I can handle a droid.
Okay, maybe he's brain dead, but his chassis at least works. Well, since the retard droid can't seem to comprehend that his captain died at some point, Peppermint Patty takes it upon herself to seize command.
Hey, droid. I killed your captain. Which makes me your new captain.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Retard droid teaches them the incredibly simple controls to the ship.
Pitch, your roll, trim control, secondary acceleration, rear thrusters, side thrusters. Got it?
Yeah, makes complete sense.
And Whim being Whim almost triggers the...
No! That's the emergency hull demolition sequencer. Never, ever, ever touch that.
Can I fly the ship? No!
I'm fairly certain that Whim stands for Walking Incident Machine, so we all know he's gonna touch that button at some point. They ask Retardroid to take them back home, but his records show no matching results for their planet at Atten. So instead he takes them to the next safest place he can think of.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Speaking of at Atten, the incredibly inconsistent security droids are busy searching for the source of seismic disturbance where the ship took off when they come across Valium addict Negligence, who tries to explain what happened.
There's 3 of them. They just took off in a starship.
Impossible.
Could be out past the barrier by now.
Breaching the barrier is a serious violation.
Don't interrupt me.
But fuck that guy, he can only give his son 5 seconds, so that's what he gets here. Whim states that he really doesn't want to go home, but Dumbo tries to remind him that they have families.
What about my mom and dad? They're probably really worried.
Well, yes, I realize that Whim wouldn't want to go home as he's treated like an unpaid intern, but he's being a self-absorbed little prick here. They arrive at a starport.
They say of Borgo you'll rest well in a soft bed or a shallow grave.
And whatever the fuck this thing is, quick, kill it with fire, ferries them over to the main platform. Clearly an age-appropriate location for them.
Look, aliens. They're so weird looking.
Okay, first of all, you're one to talk, Dumbo. Second, you're literally from a world full of different species. You have a crush on a green toilet brush, for Christ's sake. As they wander looking for anyone who can help them locate At-Atten, they almost enter what's clearly a brothel. Honestly, that would have been on par for child actors in Hollywood. Even though they don't enter the whorehouse, they catch the eye of one of the space hookers who tracks them down in the marketplace and asks them possibly the dumbest question I have ever heard.
Are you children?
Huh? What the fuck do you think they are, lady? We know sure as shit they ain't midgets because they aren't played by Peter Dinklage. Our friendly neighborhood sex worker tells them that they aren't safe in the pirate spaceport.
No way!
They ask for directions to At-Atten, and what should be a simple request obviously leaves her thoroughly confused. But don't worry guys, she's only doing the space hooker thing so she could put herself through college. On the other side of the port, Wim and Dumbo sit down to eat what I think classifies as a biological attack.
One more for you?
Oh, I'm okay. No problem for me, sir.
As they go to pay, the owner is shocked by the credit they use.
I mean, this ain't enough. Premium topping's 5 decks extra.
Watch it. He's trying to cheat you.
As the pirates close in on them, Wim actually does something super intelligent as a distraction.
Come on, Boogie, let's burn this motherfucker down!
The space hooker flat out refuses to believe the girls and tells them that they need a better cover story.
You're a couple of Linderlings from the lost planet of eternal treasure.
It's at this time that Dumbo and Wim come running and the kids are all cornered. The thing I find most impressive here is that a bipedal elephant is able to keep up with a young black kid.
That's not racist, that's just accurate.
Just as it looks like it's curtains for our irritating juvenile protagonists.
Lacy, gently wafting curtains.
Peppermint Patty whips out a blaster she didn't previously have.
Everyone back off!
But the pirates confiscate it easier than an iPhone from a spoiled child. Retardroid shows up and beats the piss out of everyone, allowing them to flee back to the ship. Hey, hold on, rewind that shit. Is that Steve fucking Urkel?
Can I do that?
I guess everyone needs a paycheck. It seems the kids are going to make it out when Retardroid is shot from behind. How many fucking rats are in this thing's goddamn skull?
How do they have our coordinates? How did they get past the cannon?
Oh, there he is. You wanna go for a walk, boy? A walk down at the park? Walk in the park?
Man, you got problems.
Fido here tells Urkel to get information out of them, to which Peppermint Patty tells him off.
You got a question for us? Ask us yourself.
Don't make him mad, Fern.
This, of course, leads to them being thrown in the brig. Now trapped with the key barely out of their range, Dumbo comes up with the genius strategy of getting the random gerbil from Retardroid's head to retrieve it. This goes about as well as one would expect.
No.
But no worries, these are the dumbest pirates ever. They just lock these kids in here with a young Albus Dumbledore who easily levitates the key over to them, and the episode fades to black. Have you been wanting to go on vacation but simply can't afford it? Perhaps you have a friend who takes multiple trips a year and just won't stop bragging about it.
What are you, a fucking world traveler?
What if I told you you could have that life, free of charge while giving back to the neediest communities around the world? We here at Desirable Destinations have partnered with the United Nations to increase travel to some of the most underappreciated international gems. Love the mountains, but also looking for a little fun in the sun? Might I suggest Kabul, Afghanistan, where you will take in their rich culture whether you like it or not. Maybe the feeling of cool, crisp air and the possibility of a snowball fight turning into a genocide is more your speed. Siberia in January is the place for you. Or are you interested in seeing the city that society forgot? A place whose deep history of music and industry has long since been lost to time and corruption?
Take him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit!
So give us a call at 1-800-DESIRABLE-DESTINATIONS and we'll set up the vacation of your nightmares today. I know that's too many digits, but I'm sick of getting in trouble for accidentally giving out real phone numbers. We start by checking the families back on At-Atten. Negligence is in a daze, probably thinking about how this is going to affect his work schedule. He's joined by the undersecretary, Dumbo's mom, and...
Damn the risk. These are our kids.
daughter.
Wait a minute! Lesbians again? Seriously? Look, seeing as how the word lesbian appears very frequently in my internet search history, I can almost sympathize. But this is bordering on obsession at this point. 3 Disney shows in 1 calendar year. I'm not sure who over at corporate is suggesting that every show feature this, but please organize a lesbian intervention. Anyway, they are joined by a security droid who informs them of the situation.
Your children are on a starship that has illegally exited the barrier. The supervisor is unable to risk any contact. Because the starship is outside the barrier,
the mothers collectively lose their shit, as to be expected, and Negligence takes a seat, likely to calculate if he has any sick days left to give a rat's ass. Back in the brig, we see our prepubescent platoon, now joined by, what's this guy's name?
My name is Jordan Underwood.
Wait, can you repeat that?
My name is Jordan Underwood.
Okay, yeah, of course, Morningwood. By the way, there's absolutely no way this guy is the pirate captain from earlier, right? Right? His intention is to help the children escape so he can use their ship.
If you could escape at any time, what did you need our help for?
Without a ship, what use was freeing myself?
At a crossroads, he explains the two options. One path which has many living beings, and the other which doesn't. They of course choose the much easier path with the sentience on it, because that is the logical thing to do. Wait, what?
Easier to hide in a crowd than an empty corridor.
Yeah, but you don't need to blend in if no one can see you in the first place. This is some of the worst logic I have ever heard. First of all, these four stand out like an albino under a black light. They also just caused a huge scene on this exact side of the port not even an hour ago. Not to mention they make absolutely no attempt at all to disguise themselves, but yet somehow it works and they get back to their ship.
That was too easy.
My thoughts exactly.
You're welcome.
Well, let's see what allusion to the old films we can dial up this time.
I have an old friend in mind.
Scoundrel, you'd like him.
Just as they're about to leave, they suddenly remember that Retard Droid is still back there.
What about SM-33?
He saved us. I thought the Jedi never left a man behind.
That's not a Jedi thing.
Yeah, that's the fucking United States Marine Corps. Morningwood pleads with them to just leave, but he's overwhelmingly outvoted.
If you don't go, I will.
And me.
And me. We'll go together.
They believe that Morningwood could pull off this heist because he's a Jedi, despite him never having once said that. He reluctantly agrees and heads back to the port where everyone is going apeshit because...
Silvo has escaped from the brig!
Oh no, Pirate Captain Silvo also escaped as well?
You're kidding, what a crazy random happenstance.
Surely Silvo and Morningwood aren't the same person, because there's no way in hell mutineers would just leave him alive. Morningwood finds where they keep captive droids, which for some reason has a Trade Federation battle droid who is unaware that the war is over. Okay, I won't lie, that was funny. He locates Retard Droid, and just as he's about to leave, someone identifies him.
Captain Silver, is that you?
What a twist!
Turns out this is an old crewman of Morningwood, who at first acts very amicable.
Brutus ain't half the captain you were. You're the best skipper I ever had.
But quickly turns on him.
Let's call in the guards.
On the ship, the kids do what kids do best. Argue about stupid shit.
There's a million ways to make it look like something is floating. Name one.
In the interest of fairness, I get that I often bicker with other creators about the same type of stuff, so this might be the pot calling the kettle black. African American. Through the magic of being off-screen, Morningwood has not only evaded the guards, but fought through all the pirates, commandeered a ferry, and made it back to them, all while not losing Retard Droid. As they attempt to fly away, they hit another snag that the word assemblers didn't think through.
I think we're stuck on the fuel line.
Really? Why were they being fueled up? No one has been on this ship for hours and they didn't pay anyone for that. And can't you just tear that thing right out?
It's a very well-made fuel line.
In order to free them, he comes up with a quick plan that apparently involves crashing into every single other ship in the vicinity, which cannot be helping the situation considering the fact they needed repairs to begin with. Just as they are about to be shot down, they throw the ship into hyperdrive and escape, much to Fido's chagrin.
Put a bounty on his head! I want him groveling at my feet!
Who's a good puppy? You want a treat? It's a pepperoni.
You're going to the mental institution.
They revive Retard Droid, who has an immediate distrust for Morningwood, as should anyone viewing a grown man hanging around children.
Is he dead? No, he's just turned off.
Wait a minute! You're telling me that they could just flip the on switch and he works fine? Seriously? Okay, normally I only do one of these rants per episode, but this show got away with not having one yet, so these motherfuckers owe me. Retard Droid was already damaged before they even found him. His head is full of hamsters, and he was shot to death. And now he's just back to normal. Does anyone remember when droids would go down and actually require repairs?
Ah! Fuck You son of a bitch!
Anyway, Morningwood explores the ship, finds a knife and some different clothes, and is confronted by Retardroid.
Looking for something, Jedi?
Over a delicious meal of vomit, the children discuss whether there might actually be treasure at At-Aten, when Dumbo points out that the great work that we've heard about a couple of times up to this point is pretty vague.
What does your mom do?
She works in admin. Minor analyst.
So what do they analyze?
Something boring.
They get to a random unnamed moon that Morningwood's friend is at and travel on foot. Where have I seen this shit before? You know what? I'm gonna count that as a reference. To add further fuel to the plagiarism fire, Morningwood states that he doesn't fully trust this person they are going to see and that they might get stabbed in the back.
We go back a long way, Lando and me.
This friend of mine, we go way back, but...
You trust him?
No.
I don't trust her.
They walk up to a base of some sort, and Morningwood is questioned by Kim, who for some strange reason feels the need to use 3 of those security camera things. Going inside, we see a fucking owl lady who hoards maps of other worlds and knows ways to get to all of them. Okay, Longclaw.
In the wrong hands, it could threaten all life in the universe.
They inform her that they are from At-Aten.
Your home has been purposely hidden. There is no map. Planets of wonders kept hidden. Rumors believed by fools. But I've always believed.
So that makes you a fool then. Kim uses some star mapping computer to try and find At-Aten based on the children's description.
Any nearby planets?
In school we learn about Coruscant and Alderaan.
Fascinating.
Dumbo explains what the barrier looks like, which enables Kim to narrow it down to a mere 10,000 planets, and uses the symbol on Peppermint Patty's backpack to narrow it down even further. Morningwood realizes that she's stalling for time because she actually called the fucking cops on them.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal!
Children, listen. Crimson Jack is a scoundrel.
Crimson Jack? How many names does this motherfucker have? After one of the strangest fights I've ever seen,
I told you she was a backstabber!
Morningwood grabs the coordinates and they race back to the ship where the kids refuse to enter until he tells them the truth.
I'm just like you, okay? I'm alone.
You are a Jedi, right?
I never actually said that.
What?
He strikes a deal to get them home, but he answers to them going forward. What is stopping him from going back on this?
Absolutely nothing!
Up to this point, he's proven himself to be quite shady. I'd say his words aren't worth their weight in shit. They take off as 2 X-Wings close in and indiscriminately fire upon them. This in spite of the fact that Longclaw informed them not even 10 minutes ago that he's accompanied by children.
And he's got a flock of children. Must be kidnapped.
My guess is that these are the New Republic cops who were trained in the United States. In order to escape the homicidal 5-0, the crew needs to get to the other side of the moon to jump to hyperspace. Morningwood, or Crimson Jackoff, whatever he's going by now, assigns jobs to everyone on the ship.
You, with me.
I'm the captain, you work for us!
These kids just can't catch a fucking break. People just want to choose their careers no matter what. Funny how in every circumstance, these kids find a way to argue.
I got him! That was my shot!
Somehow, despite their bickering, they outrun the X-Wings and escape. Longclaw is not happy with this turn of events and questions the pilots as to why they didn't accomplish their mission.
Too risky with the kids inside.
Strange. You didn't seem to give a shit 2 minutes ago.
Any idea where they're headed?
If I told you, you wouldn't believe me.
Normally I would put something about pacing or production here, but in this case I'm finding it difficult to do. At this point in the show, pacing is slightly slower than one would hope, and the production value is a bit hit or miss, but neither is a big enough issue to drag the show down. The biggest problem is that all of the characters are severely underdeveloped. By episode 3, they absolutely should be fleshed out more. The fact that the top billed actor of the series was in a total of 4 minutes of the first 2 episodes does not help this. As of this moment, most of them represent templates rather than complete characters. You have the neglected dreamer, the derpy best friend, the bitchy troublemaker, and the Asian.
You're a racist!
Who represents science as a whole. Even the minor characters like SM33.
What about Shmi? Shmi's me. What about me?
Is just the plucky sidekick trope rather than a fully realized person, robot. And to tell you the truth, I'm not sure they will turn into anything more than that, or if they even should. The built-in defense for most of this is that it's written for kids, and for once, it's a good argument.
You sure about that?
Star Wars at its core has always been a story geared towards children, but with appeal for all ages due to its simple and universal concepts of good versus evil. Unfortunately, many recent Star Wars projects have attempted to be edgier than they need to be, and failed. This has set the bar so low for Star Wars that this show being mid is a massive improvement. But to save the franchise from the ills of the past, it needs something that is significantly better than okay. I make fun of all this because, truth be told, that's what you all come here for. But Skeleton Crew is not nearly the car wreck we've come to expect from Lucasfilm. It's not a mind-numbingly stupid ordeal like Obi-Wan, a Dave Filoni circle jerk like Ahsoka, and certainly not an insulting catastrophe like The Acolyte. As the old adage says, it is what it is. This show was clearly written with kids in mind first and foremost. However, that does not shield it from criticism. It has a number of small issues that individually would be ignorable, but when seen as a collective, give the show a general feeling of first draft syndrome. Because children are the word assembler's target demographic, it seems they believe they could just throw it into easy mode. The plot structure relies so much on tropes and references, it often forgets that it needs to stand on its own merit. This leaves it in a strange place where being part of a large, well-known IP is actually dragging it down. Skeleton Crew a la carte, separated from the Star Wars brand, could have been a fun Disney Plus show in the vein of Goonies or Stand By Me. One that had its own staying power. As is, it's just set up to be a mediocre installment in the shambling, bloated corpse that is Lucasfilm. This is correctable, but I have my doubts it will get much better. And if that doesn't convince you that Skeleton Crew is the very definition of pretty okay television, I don't know what to tell you.